of the day, my Malkin's moments. I have some great Malkin's moments for you. So sticking with the NCAA tournament, as I mentioned, Kansas, the Jayhawks, they claimed their program's fourth national championship in school history. The four first came in 1952, 1988, then 2008, and 2022. Obviously, the last two all came under head coach Bill Self, and the 2022 national championship, the Jayhawks had to erase a 16-point deficit, which was the largest comeback in a national championship game ever. So big congrats to the University of Kansas. The University of Kansas head coach Bill Self became the first Kansas men's basketball head coach to win multiple NCAA titles. Obviously, as I just mentioned, 2008 was the first example of this. That was when he had Mario Chalmers, who hit the desperation three to ultimately send the game into overtime against Memphis. Those were the Derrick Rose-led Memphis Tigers, and Kansas ultimately prevailed in overtime 75-68. It was one of the best college basketball games that we've seen, especially in a title game. And then in 2022, Bill Self just won. They beat Carolina 72-69. And sticking with this game, Kansas versus North Carolina was the third most watched college basketball game in cable TV history. Obviously, I just mentioned it was the most ever watched for a championship game in cable television history, but the third most watched college basketball game of all time on cable television. The second was actually Saturday's semifinal between Duke and North Carolina. It averaged 18.5 million viewers per game. The most watched college basketball game in cable television history was the 2015 semifinal between Wisconsin and Kentucky, who was an undefeated team at the time with Karl Anthony Towns, Devin Booker, and Coach Cal. That averaged 22.5 million views per game. And fortunately for me, Wisconsin won that game. That was an incredible semifinal with Frank Kaminsky and Sam Decker. Bo Ryan was still the head coach of the team. You had a young Nigel Hayes, a young Bronson Koenig. There were some big-time shot makers in that game. It was a special game to watch. But again, Kansas, North Carolina, third most watched college basketball game in the cable television era. And finally, the New York Jets. I know what you're thinking. How did the New York Jets make the Malkin's moments? They are normally an atrocious franchise, but to their credit, they donated $1 million in relief to Ukraine for the relief efforts. Susan Johnson, who's the wife of the Jets owner, Woody Johnson, she has a lot of ties to Ukraine. Her mother's Ukrainian. Her father was born in a town very, very close to Kyiv, and then he emigrated by himself to the United States when he was 21. So she's had a lot of ties to Ukraine, and they've donated $1 million spread. They've donated $100,000 to various organizations. That's equated to $1 million in total. And again, she was actually born in the U.S., but she grew up in a Ukrainian neighborhood as Suzanne Johnson. And so she's continually donated a lot of money to various Ukrainian organizations for years and years. But this is obviously an incredibly generous and thoughtful action, and one that obviously we hope more people take up, and sending our thoughts and prayers to all those people in Ukraine, all the families who have either lost loved ones or continually dealing with this travesty and trying to wrap their minds around the carnage that's going on and dealing with war. We're sending our thoughts and prayers out to you as well. So that'll do it for Morning Joe right here on J&J Media Network, Facebook Live, Twitter, and on YouTube Mondays and Wednesday mornings, 11 a.m. to 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 10 to 11 Central, and 8 to 9 a.m. Pacific. Make sure to subscribe to my YouTube page, Morning Joe, J-O, with Jonah Malkin on YouTube. Follow me on Twitter at Jonah_Malkin or at Morning_Joe_. Instagram, jmalkin97, TikTok, Jonah Malkin. And as always, have a lovely rest of your morning.